Throughout the election campaign, News Corp will be monitoring not just the politicians, but what Australians are saying about them and their policies on social media. Jackson Goth-Snape is our data reporter and social sentiment tracker, and he's leading the charge from our Canberra bureau.
Yes, it's day one of the campaign, and we're just starting to see election buzz heat up a little bit. In the last 100 days of Prime Minister Gillard's reign, the word election was tweeted about 100,000 times. But in Kevin Rudd's reign, that volume was recorded in just about 40 days or so. Now, as the campaign starts to heat up, historically people tend to dive into the internet and other sources to inform themselves about who to vote for and what issues might be most meaningful for them. And Google recorded a bit of a spike in election searches yesterday. 20,000 people dived onto Google to search election. Now this is common with the trends we've seen historically for Google searches. Around election, these searches tend to mimic the federal election cycle, spikes around election searches. And we're expecting this spike to continue as the campaign rolls on. But putting this into context, the election search on Google yesterday was dwarfed by the 100,000 searches for Doctor Who. So while the election is just starting to go, Doctor Who remains on top for now. Thanks.
Okay, Jessica, everyone, let's have a chat about something slightly more serious than those Google results.
Should we?
Tomorrow,
Okay.
well, the RBA meets tomorrow. A lot of talk around, as there always is every month, about who's better at managing the economy and which party interest rates will be lower under. We're looking at another cut. Where do you think we're heading with this one?
Well, I think they're going to cut by 25 basis points tomorrow. And the really interesting question is whether they might take this opportunity to go for a 50 basis point cut.
No.
It's good news. Good news for home buyers, unless
You need
you've
to change
fixed
your
in your
home
home
loan.
loan.
This is a true fact, viewers. Just while you're listening to this, keep in mind that Jessica Irvine currently owes me about $300 a month because she said the interest rates were going to go up when I bought my house. And so I fixed my rate at the low price. And next thing you know, it's everything must go. Everything must go. They're chopping, they're slashing, they're cutting.
But you're still getting a really low rate, Joe. So,
Thanks.
you know,
Okay,
thank
so
you,
on the
Reserve Bank.
on the one hand, we've got the RBA looking like cutting. On the other hand, we've got the parties. I know, Jess, you've been looking today at the pork barrelling for one of another term. There's been a lot of cash thrown around just on day one.
We were saying this reckless spending must start, and it started today, and Kevin Rudd's kicked it off, and having sort of said we'll be very prudent with the money, here's our savings, all these tax hikes that we're doing, he's come out and announced about $700 million of new money, and this wasn't actually in the mini budget, most of it.
That's what I don't understand. If the money's not in the budget, where does it come from? Like, isn't the budget the only place you're meant to get your money from?
Well, pretty much, but it just means you go into debt.
That's
You can borrow. You can always borrow. It's like a credit card.
You can always borrow. And the truth is, once you've got yourself $30.1 billion into deficit, another 700 mil here or there, it's
This
not
is
exactly
the thing,
going
they keep promising a surplus in 4 years' time, and then they say, oh, just ignore all this stuff in the middle, and they keep upping the spending, except not in those surplus years. So, there's $450 million for looking after kids out of school hours,
That's just per hour.
$200 million for the car industry. It's all adding
We've
up.
got to stop. We've got to stop propping up the car industry, though. Surely, don't we?
We do.
Like, we might as well prop up the origami industry. Like, there's just some stuff the Japanese do
the car
better
industry
than
might
us.
employ more people, but
That could be a growth industry.
Not anymore.
that's true. Before we go, Joe, I wanted to ask you. You work for the telly, obviously.
I do.
Bit of controversy
Just
around
reading
today
it now.
about your front page.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry,
the headline
what?
obviously kicked this mob
yeah.
out. So the telly's going early with its thoughts.
Yes, I heard about this last night, obviously. But it's fair to say I got a couple of calls this morning saying, oh, hello. Look, the beauty of the telly is you're never going to die wondering what it thinks. And normally, of course, you would traditionally wait until probably the Friday before Election Day, at which time all the newspapers would publish their editorial on their front page and say why they think that the government should stay or go. In this case, I like to think of it as just, beating the opposition by 5 weeks. And the Fin Review did the same thing on their front page as well. They just used bigger words.
Right. So
No one
they
could
said the same
understand
thing.
them.
No one understood it.
Exactly
All right,
right. Which shows that they're doing their job properly.
I think we'll have to leave it there. Thanks to you both.
Thank you very much.
We will be here live and on demand every night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the duration of the election campaign. You can also get the most up-to-date election coverage on all News Corp websites by following the links to the Voice of Australia. I'm Kylie Merritt. Thanks for your company.